Wish You Were Here and Vernon's Pools. Dreams are made of this.
Some places seem familiar because we've seen them as backdrops to countless films. Some places we've seen only in our dreams. But for many of us, only the South Pacific has starred in both. Hello. Well, I've dreamed of coming to the islands of the South Pacific for some years, and now, finally, in the last programme in this current series, I've made it. Let's hope they live up to my dreams. We'll find out how my first island, called Tahiti, rates later in the programme. We also joined footballer John Fashanu sailing in the Greek islands. John Carter at the Channel Tunnel and Euro Disney. And I'll be travelling on to another dream island, Bora Bora. But now John Fashanu takes time off from hosting gladiators and terrorising defenders to learn a new sport, sailing.
This is Nidri, on the Greek island of Lefkas, about 60 miles south of Corfu. Now, it's just down the coast from here that Antony and Cleopatra fought against Julius Caesar's nephew, Octavius, in the Great Sea Battle of Actium. This week, I'm going to be taken to the water too, but to try my hand at something a little bit more peaceful.
They call it Villa Flotilla. The first week's based ashore learning the ropes, and the second, you're sailing your own 30-foot cruiser.
Right, first of all, before we get you on the boats this afternoon, just going to run through points of sailing. Wind's coming from this direction, it's working quite well. Straight down the blackboard. That is your wind direction. We know that a boat can't sail directly into wind. If you start sailing into it, your sails will flap and the boat will stop. Right, if you two want to put the mainsail up, okay, we're going to see if we can start sailing. Yep, do you remember what you're doing?
No, I don't know.
It's all very well on a blackboard, but at first everyone's a bit at sea. Which winch pulls what and what rope goes where? It's anyone's guess.
If there's no creases in it, then you're tight enough.
So we've got a little bit more.
That looks good.
Look at your flags, okay? You've got two flags to use, so you can actually see your wind direction and feel it. Once you actually get the knack of feeling where it's coming from, okay? So decide which way. We're going to start close hauled.
Well, I think we'll head off that in that direction.
A hard morning at the helm and it's time for a leisurely lunch. Yachts can go where most visitors can't, so you're able to enjoy tavernas in parts other holidays simply can't reach. Fancy trying your hand at windsurfing? Your sailing course takes only 4 days of your first week, so there's plenty of time to take a turn around the bay. It's as easy as falling off a log. Back on dry land, mountain bikes are an ideal way of exploring. The first day of the second week, and time to leave our simple but comfortable hotel, set sail and try to put into practice everything we've learned. The hotel couldn't be better located. It's just a 2-minute walk from lively Nidri village, with the jetty literally on its doorstep. Board at the hotel has been bed and breakfast, because most people are out sailing at lunchtime and tend to try one of the nearby tavernas in the evening. But the yachts are now shipshape and it's time to cast off.
Well, it's been great as a family holiday. It's a bit of a daunting experience. We're going out for the first time today. On our own, completely on our own, but there's loads of boats around, so it gives you a bit of confidence.
I'd never sailed a small dinghy either, so I thought I'd give it a quick try before we joined the flotilla. It all looked a bit tricky at first, but when you've got the balance and the coordination of a professional athlete, There's really nothing to it. Back to what I know best, I think. Time to swap my boat for a ball and join a training session with my new club, Nidri United. Today, Lefkas. Tomorrow, well, who knows?
1, 2.
The little fishing village of Sivota was our flotilla's first port of call.
Okay, we got you. It's beautiful, nice slow approach.
So you've got the bug, have you? You've got the sailing bug?
Very much so, yeah. I think we had the sailing bug before we came. But it's warm, the sea's warm, the sun's warm.
A week ago, I mean, I'd never sailed, never had an opportunity. Certainly think I want to come again.
Most evenings, your flotilla leader organises some sort of get-together, but it's all very informal and everyone can come and go as they please. Every night's a different port of call, and every morning, a new village or deserted bay. A leisurely breakfast on deck, and it's all ashore for your flotilla leader's briefing.
This morning we're going to head down to Vasiliki. We're in here at the moment, in the right-hand finger of Abaliki Bay, and we're going to head to Vasiliki today. Now it's approximately 16 nautical miles, so allow yourself a bit of time to get there today, and we'll see you about 6 o'clock.
Breathtaking. It's really beautiful.
It hasn't been spoilt.
No. Well, you never get bored. I mean, it's a different place each day, different taverna each night.
It's an adventure. I've come by myself. You can't beat it. The scenery's good, the weather's great, the wind's good.
Right, get it in.
You know, before I came out here, I'd never sailed a yacht or a boat anywhere in my life. But what's really amazed me is just how good we've all become in such a short period of time. 2 weeks later, here I am with a Royal Yachting Association certificate, which entitles me to skipper a yacht like this in non-tidal waters anywhere in the world. But it hasn't all been just hard work. I mean, I've had time to relax and enjoy some of the most beautiful sail scenery in Europe. So if you think you're the sort of person who enjoys a near perfect mix of relaxation and a sense of achievement, then this holiday could be just for you.
A 2-week Villa Flotilla holiday costs them £399 with sovereign sailing, and this includes a week's bed and breakfast at the Athos Hotel, a week on a yacht, the return flights from Gatwick or Manchester, and all transfers. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, halfway between Australia and the west coast of America, lie the Society Islands of French Polynesia. By far the largest is Tahiti, the island of love. It's taken about 24 hours just to get here, but if for once the reality is anything like the dream, not to mention the brochures, it will have been worth it. Certainly the omens are good. In 1788, the infamous Captain Bligh anchored the Bounty off this Tahitian bay for no less than 5 months. His crew loved the island, and especially its women, so much so that they mutinied just 3 weeks after the ship left for the West Indies, simply, some historians now say, because they couldn't bear to leave Tahiti behind. Stockbroker turned artist Paul Gauguin also fell under Tahiti's spell, and his sensual portraits of the beautiful Tahitian women helped shape the exotic image that people who've never been there still have of this remote island. Tahiti's natural beauty has since inspired many writers too, and it's easy to see why. One of about 120 islands and atolls in French Polynesia, Tahiti is really 2 islands in one, Big Tahiti and Little Tahiti, connected by a narrow strip of land. Much of the coastline is protected by coral reefs, but in some places the not-so-Pacific waves get through, and the local surfers make the most of them. Most of the hotels are on the north and west of Big Tahiti, as more rain falls in the central and eastern parts, which are dominated by 2 7,000-foot mountains. Well, that rain falls mainly between December and April to keep the island lush and green year-round. England's Captain Wallis was the first European to discover Tahiti, but the French explorer, Captain Bougainville, who arrived here a year later in 1768, was the first to spread the word about the lovely flower that now bears his name. And there are other delightful discoveries to be made, either from the air in a helicopter sightseeing trip or at ground level if you brave the steamy heat of the rainforest.
Tropical rain, and I've been told that just a couple of minutes' walk from the coast road there's more water in a spectacular fall. There are over 100 cascades like this on Tahiti.
Getting around the island, and Big Tahiti's coast road is 70 miles long, can be an expensive business. Car hire costs from about £60 a day, and taxis are equally costly. But there is a cheaper option, a truck. Just flag one of the buses down, they stop anywhere, not just at the blue signs, and from about 70 pence you can travel to most parts of the island. One word of warning, the buses only run in the daytime, and just like home you can wait for some time and then 4 come along at once. French is more widely spoken than English, and even the colourful covered market has a touch of Parisian class about it. The cost of living is generally very high in the islands, with food and drink particularly expensive. A simple one-course lunch costs about £10. A cheaper and more colourful alternative are the roulottes, food stands that congregate every evening on the waterfront in the capital, Papeete. French, Italian, Chinese, or good old steak and chips are all there from about £5. It makes a change from eating in the hotels, although some of these do have beautiful locations. The rooms in ours overlook the ocean in Matavai Bay, the Bounty's anchorage.
Most of the beaches in this part of the island are of black sand, exotic black sand they call it in the brochures. But most of the guests here use the pool. It has lots of attractive nooks and crannies, so however many people are actually using it, you can usually find a place on your own.
The few stretches of white sand beaches are south of Papeete, and they're very popular.
I very much enjoyed my stay on Tahiti, but the whole island is busier and more commercialised than I'd expected or indeed hoped. Well, join me after the break to see if Bora Bora is nearer my dream of a South Pacific island.
We'll also be joining John Carter, who updates progress on the Channel Tunnel and Euro Disney.
Welcome back. Well, I've flown from Tahiti to Bora Bora. It's taken me just about an hour. The airport on Bora Bora is on a little island, so no ordinary transfer by bus this time, it's by boat. But this is just the best transfer I've made from any airport in 20 years of Wish You Were Here. I mean, just look at these colours.
A stunning coral reef has created a lagoon all the way round the main island of Bora Bora and its collection of tiny atolls, or mutus as they call them here. Our hotel was on a mutu which faces the main island, and its largest town, if you can call it that, Vaitape. Most of the 4,000 people who live throughout Bora Bora are here, outnumbered by the visitors who come to stay at the handful of beach hotels. The island's tranquility has attracted some famous names. But the island is busy compared with the mutu we stayed on. It just has the hotel on it, and all the rooms are in Polynesian-style bungalows. Although similar inside, with airy bedrooms and attractive bathrooms, those on stilts over the lagoon are more popular and more expensive than those on the shore. There are excursions around the lagoon and to the main island, but most just settle around the pool or on the pristine white sand beach and take the weight off their minds. This is a place for sheer, unadulterated relaxation. All the usual land and water sports are available, and it's a wonderful place for snorkeling or scuba diving, although there are tricky currents inside as well as outside the reef. and the coral itself needs treating with respect. All the sports are quite highly priced, with scuba diving costing from £35 a day. But you don't have to pay or even get your feet wet to see the lagoon's colourful collection of fish. Just throw a little bread on the waters. Everywhere you look in Bora Bora, there's a picture postcard view. Meals are expensive again, but they're beautifully presented and served in restaurants looking out over the lagoon. And unlike in the now more developed and cosmopolitan Tahiti, there's never any doubt that you're in the South Pacific. It does take a long time to get here, and the prices are pretty high. But Bora Bora is just how I imagine the South Pacific to be. It's even better than I imagined, in fact. It's so beautiful, and it's so romantic. 3 nights at the Hyatt Regency in Tahiti and 6 nights at the Bora Bora Lagoon Resort on a room-only basis cost from £2,620, and that's with elegant resorts. This includes return flights on Air New Zealand, the internal flights between Tahiti and Bora Bora, and all transfers. An Air New Zealand flight only to Australia or New Zealand with a stopover in Tahiti costs from £699. The Channel Tunnel was officially opened by the Queen recently, but there have been even more delays to the start-up of a full-time passenger service. Well, John Carter has an update on that and on Euro Disney's latest efforts to attract visitors.
Behind me is the Channel, and beyond that you might just be able to make out France. And here at Cheriton in Kent is the English terminal of the Channel Tunnel.
It's a 300-acre site whose only purpose is to get you smoothly from the motorway onto the car-carrying trains. The painful part is at the start, paying for your passage.
Good morning, sir. Welcome to Eurotunnel. Do you have your ticket?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
After that, you can head straight for the train or linger in the restaurant or duty-free shops. In that last respect, it's just like an airport. The formalities of customs and immigration come next. In theory, you'll be waved through just like this and clear both UK and French barriers at the start of your journey. If you've ever taken your car on a ferry, what follows next is boringly familiar. Just follow the idiot-proof signs, hoping they are idiot-proof, and you'll drive onto a platform where the car-carrying train is waiting. These trains are a quarter of a mile long, 24 wagons that can be loaded in less than 10 minutes, or so it's claimed. Single and double-deck wagons take 180 cars on a full train. They're big enough for coaches, too. Once loaded, internal doors close to complete safety precautions. You can leave your car to use the toilet or stretch your legs. When you realise what a short distance separates Britain from France, you have to wonder why the building of the tunnel caused such a fuss. But it did, and it caused the ferry companies no end of bother. They responded to the competition by introducing new jumbo ships in an effort to persuade us that the crossing should be part of the holiday experience. On ships like the 24,000-ton Pride of Calais, you can pass the 75-minute crossing by watching cartoons, queuing to change your traveller's checks, you can eat in a restaurant or a self-service grill, and you can shop duty-free. You could almost forget you're on a ship. Meanwhile, beneath the channel, the train speeds through at over 100 miles an hour.
Well, this is it, the French end of this tunnel. Thought you might like to see it working. Just think, 30-odd miles the other end of the hole is Cheriton, where we started.
That, by the way, was a train for freight vehicles. The car-carrying train delivers you to another platform around 35 minutes after leaving Cheriton. This is Bethune, near Calais. Drive up that ramp and all of France's roads are open to you. This is another aspect of Channel Tunnel travel, Eurostar, the high-speed passenger train that will eventually get you from London to Paris or Brussels in less than 3 hours. This time it's the airlines that have to worry about the new competition. Though the special high-speed rail track hasn't yet been built in England, The new terminal at London's Waterloo Station gives a hint of what's in store for passengers as rail travel heads into the 21st century and trains like the 186 miles an hour Eurostar link Britain to the continental mainland.
From those high-tech trains of the tunnel to transport of an earlier age. In France, there's only one place. It has to be Disney.
Don't worry, they aren't heading for the kitchen. They're part of the parade that waddles and wheels its way down Main Street every day, dancing down the cobbles come rain or shine or rain. Disneyland Paris, as it's now to be called, has hotels of different quality and cost. The Sequoia Lodge is about average, geared to the family trade, with the costumed extras that only Disney can provide. Simply furnished rooms carry through the lodge style of the hotel. The small details remind you of the location, but the hotels aren't simply dormitories for the park. They have a range of what Disney calls weather relief facilities. For day trippers, the park's just a 35-minute ride from Paris on the Underground. This train takes 20 minutes to do a circuit of the park, and though I mentioned day trippers, it is too big to be seen in just one day. Though it has its hotels and its ranch and its golf course, the complex attracts visitors because of its theme park and the various rides. They're rides which thrill and excite and scare you. Rides which turn you upside down and throw you around. Disney is an American experience, first, last, and always, and not something that can be modified to fit a European frame of reference, though it nods in that direction from time to time. The quality of the park is extremely high and the attention to detail almost obsessive. Some attempts have been made to combat the indifferent weather and meet complaints that prices were too high.
Hello, may I have a hot dog and a coffee, please? Thank you very much.
Some prices are on the high side, but as with the Buffalo Bill Wild West show, you're paying for the experience and the location. The world's original Mickey Mouse organization has acted to solve its European problems, and if any remain, they're probably insoluble. But rain or shine, the magic's there.
A 5-day break to Euro Disney, staying 4 nights at the Sequoia Lodge, costs some £890 for 2 adults and 2 children under 12. This includes return coach and ferry crossing, 3 days entrance to Euro Disney and room-only accommodation, with Wallace Arnold coach holidays, who have around 400 departure points. Thank you. It really is such a relaxing place, and you too could be here, or in the Caribbean, or in fact anywhere that we've been on Wish You Were Here, with a partner, if you win our competition. Last week's question was, Copenhagen is the capital of which country? The answer, Denmark. And the winner chose a holiday to Jamaica. And this week's question is, in which ocean is Tahiti? The Pacific or the Atlantic? And the phone number to ring with your answer is 0891 335533, and the lines are open until midnight on Sunday. It's been a dream to come to the South Pacific, but it's just one of the marvellous places we've been to this year. Millions of you have travelled with us every week, and I very much hope that you've enjoyed the series. We'll be back with a new series of Wish You Were Here later in the year. Until then, bye-bye for now.
Wish You Were Here and Vernon's Pools. Dreams are made of this.
A fact sheet produced in association with Thomas Cook lists a selection of holidays to the destinations featured this week, gives general advice and a relevant recipe. Please write for Fact Sheet 21 to Post Office Box 50, Bromley, BR29TT.